Hello and welcome back to Up the Villa podcast. Welcome to Avfc Daily News, your daily dose of Villa news. So if you are new to our channel, subscribe. Make sure you're hitting a like on this episode and comment your thoughts in the comment section down below. So we've had a lot of new subscribers recently, probably not used to maybe our transfer windows and how they work and how we operate on this channel. So I'll briefly just explain how it does work. So Avfc Daily News is the in-between part to transfer rumours. So it's more of a roundup of how the window's going. If we get a rumour to a player, a link from a journalist or a news outlet, then we will do that player on a transfer hub. So a transfer hub is when we link with players. Avfc Daily News is the bit that connects it all together, really. So the two combined together, but this isn't Transfer Hub. I know a lot of you are eagerly awaiting a Transfer Hub to drop, and I am waiting for one to drop as well. But without the players, we can't do them. So we'll wait until that first rumour or link drops, and then you'll have your Transfer Hub. So we've got quite a lot to get through, actually, on our first episode of our news outlet channel. So we've got quite a lot to run through. We're going to kick it off with wishing Monchi well. Hope Monchi's going to do well this window. Hopefully his hands are by his phone, ready, talking, connecting all the pieces together for the players to come in. So shout out to Monchi. Get to work, kid. Right, so first bit of news we've got is Aston Villa, and this is coming from Percy. Remember Percy at the back post? Not so much at the back post anymore, but when he does drop one, he does drop a couple of sort of standout pieces, doesn't he? So Percy's spoken. Villa will also consider the departures of Bertrand Traore, Callum Chambers and Tim Irabunum, either permanently or on loan. So, interesting stuff. Two of those players, I think, are pretty much surplus to requirements at Villa, aren't they? Traore, I like him. I think he's that player that's just got that sort of like enigma around him, where he's just a really fun player to watch at times. You don't know what he's going to do. But it feels like he's injured. He's fit enough to go on international duty with Burkina Faso. He can play all the games. He gets back in Birmingham, gets off that plane, and his hamstring's gone. Like, how many times has that happened? So I think for where we are, as a club and paying somebody's wages, he don't play. He doesn't play for Villa. So the fact that Villa pay him and he doesn't play, I think it's time for us to move him on. He had his loan spell last year. Emery had him back. He came back and he scored that wonder goal at Leicester. I think he scored against Palace as well. But apart from that, we've not really seen him. He doesn't really get a pre-season. He's injured and yeah, it's who can take him on, and loans always feel like the easy option, don't they? But if we can move him on somewhat, I think it's time to say Traore. It's just not going to happen at Villa again, is it? Callum Chambers, he's had one start, I think, in the Europa Conference League, and he was really poor away at Alkmaar, and we've not really seen him since. He's always on the bench. He's always warming up. And he just feels like he's another one that's just never going to play. You see, I look at Dendoncker and I think, you know what? Over the course of this season, we've gone through that busy period of December. And I said in December that every player in this squad will be used who's fit. And that was true. Dendoncker was used and he did play well at Manchester United. But again, he's another one that, he only plays when we're down to bare bones. Do you know what I mean? So, yeah, Dendoncker, I think he would stay because he would add cover to Kamara. But Chambers, again, he's one that's just not playing. He's He's getting paid to train, and that's it. And I think he would be one that we would look to move on. And you look at those two players moving on and think there's probably a decent kitty there for a player's wages. Irabunam, I wouldn't want him to leave on a fee. I don't think. I think if we could loan him out, he's one that I think has got a good scope and a good potential. But again, if it's like Ramsey and it's like Archer, and we can get 15, 20, 10 million pounds, then we would probably make that deal happen, wouldn't we? But I think he's one that I would prefer to go on loan. But those are three players who are looking potentially to leave in this window. The next up, there's growing interest in Jhon Duran, the forward, amid alleged friction behind the scenes with Emery. So Jhon Duran, he can't leave until a forward comes in. I think that's the obvious thing to start with, and that's where I am 100% at. He doesn't leave until a forward comes in. If a forward comes in, if no forward comes in, he doesn't leave. He can't leave. But where am I at with Duran? I'd love to know your thoughts in the comment section down below. I've watched him closely every time he's come on the pitch, and against Zhurinski, I watched him closely away, and I thought his runs were brilliant. His off-the-ball runs were brilliant in that game, albeit the ball didn't go to him. In the Premier League, I think his touch is great, and I think when his touch is good and he passes it back to a player, his hold-up play is good. So I like those two aspects. I think those, from what I've seen, only snippets from him, I think he can finish. He's took his chances well when he's had them. But what I can't understand are the sliding tackles. He's so wild. It's unbelievable. That one on Saturday when the ball was going down, the right-hand corner, it was just going down a sort of a dead end. It was going to be retrieved by the defender, and he just took this massive swipe out of him. I just don't get it. I just think it's wild, it's rash, it's chaotic. And my other final point would be, if Watkins got injured, do I believe he could lead the line? I don't think he could lead the line for 5 games because I don't think he'd play 5 games. I think he'd get sent off. So that aspect of his game needs to massively improve. And the risk of Villa sending him on loan is that he just goes chaotic somewhere. So, he's got to have that level of professionalism with his game. He is raw, but at the same time, there's being raw and being chaotic. And I think the two have got to come together somewhat, because there's got to be a professional footballer that gets moulded somewhere. So that's where I am with him. With the wording there, amid alleged friction behind the scenes with Emery, I'm not too sure whether I buy into that, because if there was, there's no way he'd be on the football pitch. There's no way he would come on Saturday when we are 3-2 up with Jhon Duran doing what he does on the pitch. So I can't really understand how, if there is friction, Emery would still be having him in and around the camp, or he would be playing. So, we have got other options. You could play Moussa Diaby up top. You could play Bailey up top. You could just say to Duran, train over there till January, and then you'll go out on loan. That's not happened. So I'm not sure whether I buy into that. We have been linked with a player, but he's 17 years of age and he plays for RB Leipzig. He's a surprise target for Aston Villa. Could be RB Leipzig attacker Yannick Eduardo. So again, 17-year-old. Don't really know too much about him. It's very difficult to find any stats on him as well. But I also would caveat into this, and what I would mention is, we know that we are wanting a striker, a right back, and an attacking midfielder. We know those are what Villa fans want and what I think the squad needs. But we've also, in that short term, we've also got to think of the long term for Villa, and we've still got to operate in the long term. So, we are going to start signing players, younger players that will be signed for Aston Villa, will be coming through and will be pushing the first team, and they will be for the future as well. So we may be signing players that just aren't for the here and now, that are Emery's vision in 2-3 years' time, which is what we want. Do you know what I mean? We've had these windows in the past where all we're about is the here and now. How can we improve something right now because it drastically needs improving? Where we're not at that stage anymore. We are, yes, we want that lift this window, but we're also thinking of next season and the season after, which is a place where we haven't been in before for a very long time. So, yeah, Yannick Eduardo is a player that's linked with Aston Villa, and all of that has come from Jhon Percy of The Telegraph. We have got as well from Percy, Aston Villa will target a forward and a right back with perhaps another attacking option as well. So that just rounds off everything that we've said. And then we've got talk on a goalkeeper. So this ties in with what I was mentioning just, and this is a quote from Unai. We are not thinking at the beginning to sign another goalkeeper. Of course, we are following some goalkeepers, but thinking a young goalkeeper with the possibility to come here and improve. If not, we will wait until the summer. So a goalkeeper is on the cards for Aston Villa. Again, it makes sense because we've got some young goalkeepers that have been on the bench. I'm not sure whether they are the answer or the future. We've got Robin Olsen, who isn't the answer or the future either, albeit he's got better. Got to hold my hands up. His distribution has got loads better. Apparently, he's coming back in a couple of weeks as well. And then we've got Martinez, the world's best goalkeeper. So while you've got the world's best goalkeeper, there is no other goalkeeper that will be playing for Aston Villa in big games. But what we have got to do is look for the future as well, because Martinez isn't going to be here forever. So, again, a young goalkeeper coming through, learning his trade off the world's best goalkeeper. There is no better goalkeeper to have an understudy for. So, again, it's the future. But what also is the future is having a goalkeeper that can play the Unai Emery way. And the Emery way is with the ball at his feet. Now, I've got this little thinking in my head of where goalkeepers are going to go in the next 5 to 10 years. And I actively think, and this is wild, and you might think, whoa, I actively think goalkeepers with the ball at their feet will be making up parts of a back 3 or 4. That's where I think we're getting to. Because we're seeing these shifts of how can we get more players up the pitch. And I think the goalkeepers are going to be used more than ever in the next 5 to 10 years. So having goalkeepers who are totally comfortable with the ball at their feet is the future of football. And yeah, we've seen it now, but I think it's going to go to another level. So, I showed you on the debrief, Martinez's heat map. It's quite strong of him being that sweeper keeper outside his 18-yard box anyway. So, again, I think it makes total sense to have a goalkeeper that's young and he's going to learn and he's going to apply his trade at Villa. And we've got full confidence in his ability. And there's no shift between when Martinez is in the team and the same when this new goalkeeper could potentially be in the team. So we know that that's the summer or this window. If it can be done, then we'll do it. Absolutely fantastic. So, yeah, nice little roundup on Avfc daily news. Once the rumours start coming in, we will then start doing the transfer hubs. So hopefully this has been a little warm-up and then we can get straight into it. Again, with these episodes, if we have to do 2 of these a day, 3 of these a day, if there's 2 transfer hubs a day, 3 transfer hubs a day, then we will do it. That's just this is what we do on this channel in the transfer window. So these episodes, they could be 5 minutes long, 10 minutes long, 7 minutes long. We'll bring you the news when we get it, okay? So cheers, everyone, for all the support. If you are new, subscribe. Up the Villa.